Hello and welcome to Qtr Time podcast. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P.
And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed. Hello. Welcome back, everybody. It's a super special bonus episode of Qtr Time podcast. Luce, long time no speak. How you doing?
Luce, we speak on WhatsApp every day.
Well,
mate.
People didn't need to know that.
Yeah. Literally speak to you more than I speak to my own fiance, but it's fine. But we haven't done this in a while, have we, Luce?
No, we have not, but it is definitely great to be back. I've missed this. I've missed it a lot.
I know. And also, for anyone who hasn't seen the announcement, we do also have to mention that we won't be doing a full season of the podcast next year because I'm going to New Zealand. So, that's happening in 2 weeks. Not really ready for that, but it's going to be fine. Just going to get on the plane with my passport and enjoy life and see what happens.
You'll be absolutely fine. That's all you need. Passport, your phone, maybe somewhere to live. Other than that, you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, no worries. We'll sort it out. It'll be all fine.
Yeah, but fear not, we will be popping up on social media every now and again, each doing some stuff in New Zealand, obviously in UK for me. So do keep your eyes peeled on our social channels to hear all about what we are going to be getting up to. So, Luce, coming back to today's episode, give us the lowdown. What we got?
Okay, so in today's conversation, we'll bring you an exclusive with Managing Director of the Netball Super League, Claire Nelson, about the recent announcement from England Netball about changes to the future of the Netball Super League, NSL 2.0, I think we're calling it. Mm-hmm. As most of you will have seen, England Netball shared this week that from 2025, the Netball Super League will be relaunching bigger and better than ever to kickstart the journey towards professionalisation. And today we're going to find out what this means in practice and what changes we can expect to see.
Very exciting. So let's dive straight into our conversation with Claire. We are delighted to welcome the first ever Managing Director of the Netball Super League, Claire Nelson, back onto the podcast. How are you doing, Claire?
I'm doing great. I'm delighted that I can now get out from my little dark corner doing lots of work and start talking about Super League and NSL 2.0 and 25. So yeah, I'm feeling great. We've had a fantastic response to yesterday's announcement, and it's really lovely to be able to talk about our plans with people who are just genuinely so excited for our sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the noise on social media after yesterday's announcement has been just incredible. And it's so great to see so many people excited about the future of the NSL. And that's all we're going to talk about today is all NSL action. So thank you very, very much for joining us. We always love having you on. So as we mentioned, today's conversation is all about the exciting news out of England Netball HQ about upcoming changes to the Netball Super League as part of the league's journey towards professionalisation. As stated in the press release, changes to the NSL have been initiated with an open tender process for interested parties to participate in a relaunched Netball Super League in 2025. So in that press release, it states, and I quote, "We believe that going through a tender process will enable us to set new standards for the future and ensure that we deliver competitively with clubs that are ready and able to embrace a professional era." Now, we know that currently the Netball Super League franchises all operate in very different ways. Some have partnerships with universities, others rugby clubs, and some are operating independently. So can you talk us through what these kind of new expected standards are?
Yeah, so I think we all are aware of what transformational change needs to look like. So we've got to build a product that drives the fan power of the sport. That unlocks the commercials. We unlock the commercials, we can reinvest back in and really propel our journey. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we've got the infrastructure that can deliver against those ambitions and drive the step changes. We do talk about being transformational, but we in the same breath talk about being sustainable. We've got to build something for long-term success. We've all got to, there are different models and there will continue to be different models, but we've all got to go on this journey together and we've all got to push forward together around that. So, the big thing for us is about the ability to move into bigger venues. We know that the arena product and proposition is absolutely what fans want to see. It's what monetizes our game. It's what broadcasters want to look. And it's how we create that experience. When I get really excited about what I think netball can be for fans and what that product looks like, it's in arenas. It's that experiential piece. I want people arriving 2 hours before, coming with their mates, that there's fashion and lifestyle, health, well-being, that it's fun and it's cool, that what you see on court is the best action and you're completely and utterly enthralled by what's happening right until the last second. And so to build that, we need to make sure that we've got the infrastructure, which is the venues that allow us to do that. Now, when, again, we talk about sustainable, we do not expect to be able to have clubs that can fill arenas week in, week out from day one. So we've got to look at that journey. So that second venue comes really important as well. We know that some of the smaller venues or sports hall vibe doesn't allow us to deliver the broadcast or the fan experience product that we really need to drive this. So that's why we need to go through this tender process, because there will be improvements in how we operate. We need to become the business of sport. We need to make sure that we are delivering an annualized proposition that is connecting to fans digitally. We're going to a lot around marketing and engagement. We've got to deliver these great experiences on match days. We've got to have an incredible performance environment so that our athletes, who again are on this journey, can really take themselves forward in a career path that is absolutely built around their needs, and then being able to make choices but be the best athlete they can and the best woman, female, human that they can off the court. So all these things are going to take adjustments, and clubs know that. We know that that's where we need to go. But what that means is that existing clubs need to then reflect on, is that for us? Is that right for us? Some of these clubs have been, the evolution of the league, like we didn't start here. We didn't start 10, 15 years ago going, let's fill arenas and let's be digital. Sport and women's sport has evolved. So they need to think about that. A lot of them are looking at their models, looking at partnerships, looking at what's right for them, what they can bring to the table. And a big thing for us is what else is out there. Who else can come to the table? Because the right clubs, the right commercial partners, the right platforms will allow us to unlock the full potential of this sport and turn all of these participants into fans. And that's why this isn't about just doing little bits here and there. It's about a consistent reset and then a push forward together with Newco and clubs hand in hand, all with our different models, but knowing what we need to do when and how on this roadmap.
We're going to come back to Newco in a minute, but I mean, all of this is just music to our ears in terms of bigger venues and that sort of sportainment factor. But with the move to bigger arenas for all the competing clubs, naturally there'll be a heavily increased cost associated with this. And we've spoken a lot with you and with other people about how now is the time for investors to come on board, etc. But we were probably a little bit surprised not to hear the news of a naming rights partner announced along with the fixtures recently, given that Vitality partnership ended prior to last season. So what steps are being taken to secure sufficient financial investment in the league, and what financial support or otherwise will be provided to the clubs that do end up competing to help them achieve the ambitions of the relaunch league?
Yeah, so a couple of bits there. Look, we all know that with growth, change and transformation comes increased investment. So we're looking at that centrally at England Netball. We're looking at the clubs are looking at that. And again, what we're trying to do is make sure that we focus increased investment smartly around the critical elements that are going to transform the game. So being able to move into a bigger venue, being able to invest in our athletes and our program, getting that product look and feel right, and that Marcoms bit. We can't do everything all at once, and we cannot push costs to a point that means we do not survive this. So this will be about making sure that we have incremental increases in our investment and spend that matches alongside the growth of the commercials and the revenues. And we want to get there as quickly as possible. And that, I keep saying, comes back to the fan power bit. Now, the arena bit absolutely is a massive investment. So when Leeds or Thunder last year, the Leeds are doing it again. When these guys move, Mavs going to Wembley, and they do that, let me tell you, this can sometimes be 4, 5, and up to 6 times the cost of delivering a normal match day. They aren't doing this for the fun of it. They're doing it for fans and to drive the commercials. So I've been on a few interviews today with people, and my call to action is where, one, we need to turn up anyway to every single game. We need eyeballs. I can't reiterate that enough. And season 24 is going to be really important for us to connect the dots to 25 and make this leap. But where a club is moving to a bigger venue and putting an arena match on, we need you to show up, because actually that's where the game changes. And to get a couple of hundred extra in a sports hall will increase your revenue. To get a couple of thousand extra in an arena is really significant on that bottom line. And then you've got a product that looks and feels great. They've got content that they can leverage across their channels, that they can monetize and commercialize to partners, that broadcasters want to step up and cover. When people are flicking through the channels that have never seen netball before, all those participants that currently aren't fans, and they see that product and they see fans having a great time at that product, that's where the game changes. So investment absolutely needs to come from us all. But as you said, partnerships are going to be critical to this. So we are working on commercial partners and sponsors and broadcasters at the moment, and they will be announced in due course. And what's really exciting is that we've always talked about the power of netball, but now that we talk about our new plans and where that sits in netball and our ambitions and aspirations around the roses, and looking at a complementary calendar of international products with this really cool domestic product, and how actually sponsors can be part of shaping and launching and bringing that with no other male sport around it. You're truly supporting women's sport. These are the most exciting conversations that we've ever had. So yesterday's announcement was really setting our intention for the future, but it was a call to arms to investors, to arenas, to business owners, to sponsors and partners to say, this is the time to support our sport centrally and locally across your clubs, because we can't do it without them. And if we get them to the table and we create the product, the fans come in, and we just really create a business model that will fulfill those ambitions on that journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm feeling excited about it already, just after the announcement. There's so much hope and optimism for what the future will look like for the Netball Super League. And it really feels like the time is now, that to really take those opportunities. And we
just on that, sorry, Lucy, I know you're going to ask me a question, but everyone's using that language, and I'm using that language a lot with the time is now. We haven't just plucked this time out of the air. And this is lots of conversations we have with clubs. And, we don't have all the answers right now. And I said that at the start. This is the start of our journey. We are 18 months before we launched 25. There's a lot to work through. But actually, we can't keep doing the same thing, because the same thing is actually going backwards. It's not helping anyone. It's not moving us. So as a sport right now, we have bounced back. Pre-COVID, I think Fran shared this when we both did the podcast with you, that netball and skiing were the two most impacted sports, worst affected. Now we have rebounded back, and we are the most played sport by women. We are the third most highest participation level behind men and women's football combined, and cricket behind. We've just had a record-breaking World Cup. We've got this talent coming through of these young athletes. There's a noise around women's sport. There's a momentum. Now is the time for us to drive this change. So when we talk about that, it is strategic. It's been in our adventure strategy for a long time. We've done independent reviews. We've consulted. But if we don't press go now, I feel like we're really going to miss the moment for us to capitalize on everything that's good in our sport. So it's terrifying, and there's bits that we need to figure out, but it also, this is our moment. And I think if we trust in that and we understand that and we back our sport and our people, it will propel us forward.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not all probably going to be roses, pardon the pun, as you go forward.
It's always roses.
It's always roses, but there's going to be challenges and issues. But as long as everyone's kind of singing off the same hymn sheet and working towards the same goal, I do feel that we'll get there with it. And we love how ambitious you are in the role and how much you bring to that as well. And we've seen over the years a number of changes to the Netball Super League relation to the number of teams. We had Team Northumbria and Yorkshire Jets take part and disband. We've gone from 8 teams to 10 teams to 11 teams, back to 10 teams. So how will the new look Netball Super League in 2025 look to provide stability for the league?
Well, that's exactly why we're doing this tender process. And going back to what I said, we need to reset and we need to build a model that's sustainable and delivers. So everything is being looked at here. And what an incredible opportunity that we can do that, because this isn't just about the Super League, it's everything that sits in and around this. This is about strengthening and enhancing the domestic infrastructure of netball so that pathways feed into these clubs, that clubs are built around sustainable models, that they are supported by the centre and NewCo, that we have everything aligned and integrated for us to move the sport forward. And that's why when we talk about the sustainable piece, it's really important. I know it doesn't sound very cool and sexy, but I have to manage people's expectations that we're not going to do every single game in an arena from the outset, but will we drive consistency across all of our experiences wherever you walk into? Absolutely. We're driving improvements, absolutely. But we're taking a lot of learnings, and when people ask me what success looks like, for me, it will be in 10 years' time that we built something to last that is going from strength to strength. We don't want to go through this process again. We want to make sure that we've got clubs that match our ambitions and are aligned to the roadmap and the journey, but can actually evidence that they can deliver it and can do that, because it's heartbreaking when you lose a club. It's too much risk for us going into the future if we, what we want to do isn't realized. So getting that business model, getting that governance model, all the things that we're really spending a lot of time working on behind the scenes. I really want to get to do all the creative stuff, but we're spending all of our time making sure we know how to resource this, how to build this, what that looks like, so that we can then, when we press go and we've got our clubs for the future, we can all just enjoy going on that journey with continuous improvement, continuous growth year on year as a collective.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reminded of the phrase planting seeds in a garden you'll never get to see. I think it might be from Hamilton, actually, the musical. But that idea of sowing the seeds and getting things ready now for the future generations that will come after and take the sport on moving forward.
Yes. We're taking a lot of learnings from across other sports. So obviously, and I'm sure you've got a question in here somewhere about, are we going to be better than SSN? And we're looking at everyone. And you know what? There's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of learnings at the moment across sports. So we are speaking to league owners, governing body owners, chief execs, investors, partners, club owners, everyone who's been through tender processes, investments, launches of new leagues. We're looking and learning across it all, because as much as our power is that we are netball and we can be masters of our own destiny, we also can't afford to get this wrong, and we've got to be smart. We're small and lean, and so we've got to be really careful in what we do and tactical. What's really important for me is that we do this together, and there are going to be challenges, but my thing that I push back or discuss with clubs, and what I'll share with players, and we'll bring fans on the journey and staff partners, is everyone's got a part to play in this. And for me, not everyone's going to like every decision. We're going to have to do difficult stuff. We're going to have challenging conversations. But when we press go in 25, I want everybody to be aligned and excited by what we've got and where we're going. And that's really, really important for me, because, it's hard. I always say this, it's hard enough in women's sport. Like the scale of the challenge that we are facing right now is because of where women's sport is. There's no one writing us just big fat checks and helping us. We've got to do this ourselves. So therefore, we have to make sure that we're doing it together, that we're doing it collaboratively, and that we are supporting one another through it, that we get those foundations right. Because if we do that, then it makes everything else a lot easier as we go on the journey.
Yeah, 100%. And it's great to hear more of the kind of behind the scenes stuff around sort of who you're talking to. Obviously, we can't not reference SSN and ANZ being the sort of two standout products for netball. And, in the press release, it says that we want the NSL to become the most competitive, commercially vibrant and captivating professional league in the world. Love that. Big ambitions. Why not? However, the NSL is currently run by England Netball, which naturally sees their interests are aligned. And it's partly why I imagine there are rules like the import cap and that kind of stuff to protect the Roses pathway. So if the Netball Super League really wants to become the best league in the world and rival the likes of SSN, ANZ, etc., there arguably needs to be a deviation of the aims of the NGB from the aims of the league. And I'm guessing this is where NewCo comes into play. So can you talk to us a little bit about what NewCo is, its pending relationship with England Netball, and how the league's ambitions are going to be split from England Netball's?
Yeah, I don't think it's about being split. I think it's about understanding that you've got different vehicles to deliver different outcomes for the sport. So, and again, I had this in Netball Scotland. Actually, you've got Sirens doing the professional bit, you've got Thistles, you've got domestic. All of these elements are there to grow and strengthen the game, and they should be complementary, they should be aligned, but they need to be able to operate within their own channels in order to deliver their own successes. So we know right now that the Roses' success absolutely fuels the interest commercially into what we're doing with Super League and the domestic game. So this is about actually carving out the different properties and work streams and making sure that we can focus on delivering them effectively in order to grow the strength and power of the sport as a whole. And again, what we have, which is really we are unrivaled in what we're doing in sport at this moment in time. If you look at another sport, if you wanted to go and partner with or work with Premier Football, you're not getting access to the community game, you're not getting access, you've got to go to other people who are selling other parts. So for us to be able to make sure that while we go on this journey, we can sell the sport as a whole, we can leverage the community game with the commercial game, that we can have all these parts work complementary, that's going to help us drive forward. But what we need is the focus on building the commercials and delivering Super League. And that's when NewCo comes in. That allows clubs to be part of this new world, that we will be a connected model moving forward. I'll lead that. It's going to be far more focused on ticketing, marcons, events, commercial partnership, sponsorship, data, tech, experience. And it allows us to focus on that whilst aligned to actually the strategic ambitions of the whole sport, because the more powerful netball gets as a collective, the greater it grows. Because if we get Super League powering, and that's inspiring people to take up the game, and participation's growing and the Roses are winning, all of this gives us more power. This isn't us working in isolation. So this is a real smart business move, which others are doing, but actually, as I said, unlike other sports, we still get to have overall, control's not the right word, but we are able to have that influence over our whole sport and make every bit work. I really want to see the community game fueling into clubs more. I want to see local leagues and schools and, the counties and regions and everyone just en masse showing up to their clubs and filling it, so they can see these inspiring role models, and it really helps fuel their talent path. At the moment, we don't quite work as aligned and connected as I think we should as a sport. So this is what this will allow us to do, whilst really giving the business a focus.
Yeah, 100%. And that sort of the cohesive unit, if we want to work in partnership, like you say, with the regions, with counties, with real grassroots, like that really speaks to the whole kind of netball family. And I think in terms of getting bums on seats and getting more people in our arenas, I think the best way to do that is to ensure that the games that are being offered are highly competitive. They're nail biters, thrillers. We don't know who's going to win before the game starts. Fans, players, and even coaches, they want those tightly contested games that any team can win on any given day. And if we look again at ANZ and SSN, they each have different approaches to, by and large, achieve the same outcome. So in ANZ, you've obviously got the tiering system with the distribution of Silver Ferns players. In SSN, you've got Super Shot, unlimited imports, etc. So how will the NSL look to achieve this outcome? Not necessarily just replicating what they're doing, but retaining our own uniqueness.
Yeah, we're modelling everything at the moment. And I love that you just said our own uniqueness, because I'm really proud of how diverse our league is. When we keep saying, we are putting so many players into the World Cup, we're putting so many players into the Roses teams. Look at, that team that played against New Zealand and did so amazingly. So our league's doing a great job. But we're not quite getting there with every team coming in and really feeling like we can challenge for that top spot. I talk a lot about my ambition is that every club that joins in 25 goes, I'm going to win the league. And I talk back to like when we launched Sirens and Tamsin launched Wasps back in 2017, like we both came in going, we're going to win the league. You know, we just believed it because that's what you were building. What we do need to do is make sure that we put in a model. And there's a lot of thinking that goes behind this. And I think probably as we move forward, I can just share more of what that looks like. But for me, I want fair remuneration of athletes. I want to make sure that talent is distributed. I need to ensure that there's still choice for players and athletes, because until we can pay massive salaries to everyone, and that's not going to happen at the start, then we need to be able to offer choice. And there are players who are studying or have other jobs, dual careers, they have families, they're established. So how do we make this work for and around them? How do we create good environments? How do we have the best players playing against each other week in, week out? How do we ensure that we are creating competition that ensures our Roses and our home nation UK athletes are growing and succeeding consistently on the world stage? But also that I love it. We've got some of the best imports in the world. Like we've got some incredible players, and that's really important to retain that. So we are working at the moment, doing a lot of modelling to make sure the calendars align, everything's complementary, but that we have a model, a system, rules, format, competition that allows us to drive that uncertainty of outcome, that excitement around the game, because the on-court product will absolutely drive the off-court commercials. I think, you know, we talked about how exciting the World Cup was this year because it was so competitive and you didn't know, like anyone could beat anyone really, and out of those kind of top 6-8 nations, is so compelling. We had more closely contested games in the Super League this year. Often they were kind of Sirens games, which I'm not going to lie. When you said coaches want it, Lucy, it's very stressful when it goes to a win or a lose by 1 goal or a draw, but it's brilliant for the fans because you're just so engaged all the way through. You know, SSN towards the end of that season, going to extra time and final goals, like these are the moments that make our sport really exciting, and we know that. So there is so much, I cannot describe to you the levels of thinking and modelling behind every single bit of what we're doing that is going on at the moment, the expertise and insight that we're drawing from across our sport, the data that we're taking, but we know what we need to do, and we're going to work really hard to make sure that we can get that on-court product in a sustainable financial way for clubs that delivers against what athletes need and creates that brilliant proposition.
Yeah. Quick one. This isn't on our list of questions, but it just
popped
into my head.
I do feel like each
it is a quick one.
About half an hour long.
It's a yes/no question. Is the Super Shot one of the models you're exploring?
We haven't got to that point yet, but why would we not look at it? We're not actually at that point yet of getting into the details of the competition. That will come in time, but we are the modelling around squad sizes, remuneration, salary packages, project. There's so many things that will go into, as I said, the business model, and that's where we're at. It is the biggest thing that I get messages about. It's so divisive across everybody. What I will say though is that at a domestic level, we have the again, as you know, we own the league. We have the control to actually do new things and innovate around the product. And this again is where, when we're looking at building the best league in the world, how do we do that? What we will never do is something for the sake of it. Absolutely not. Everything we do is data driven. I have so much data. I know everything about every player and all the rules and time on court and what works and what doesn't. And a lot of this will be data driven. But we are going to try things and we are going to innovate. And we have to think about new audiences. We have to think about what's really going to make our sport exciting. So again, I told you this would be a quick answer. So yes, we'll consider it in our modelling. We're not at that point yet, but I'm open to exploring all ideas to try, but we'll make sure it works for the sport overall.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely fair answer at this stage in the game, considering how long we've got until that season 2025 to really work through all those options. And I was really interested in what you were saying about players who are at uni and managing other jobs and things like that. And obviously the pay for the players is a massive consideration, because if you're not getting a good deal somewhere, you might move somewhere else, or if you are getting a good deal somewhere, you're not going to be inspired to move somewhere else, and things like that. So it was really good to see a section in the news article from Liz Blore, the managing director at the Netball Players Association, and that clearly outlines a really strong intent to work closely with the NPA moving forwards. So can you talk to us about the NPA's involvement in helping to shape the New Look League?
Absolutely. I just sent Liz an email this morning just thanking her for her continued support. The NPA has been at the table with us talking about professionalisation for the last couple of years. When we did the independent review, the NPA supported our player consultancy. So I think we've got 75% of players were listened to. They survey regularly, they listen and they feed back everything from the player's perspective. I will say this explicitly, but I think people who know me would know that this is who I am anyway. The player's voice will be absolutely critical to this, and I will ensure that they are heard. And that because I wish I could pay everyone 60, 70 grand salaries. We can't do that from the outset, and unless big investors come in to clubs in the centre, we can't. But what we will do is drive fairer remuneration. And we've got to think about that across the league. How are you able to make the right choices that are right for you? How do we improve your experience in your environment as a player? So lots going on with the NPA at the moment, and we're working collaboratively. Like, we've had clubs at the table. Obviously, we've got our performance director and the team here, all of us looking at how do we create the best environment. But some of this is, look, can we bring in central services? How do we enhance things around health and well-being? A lot of what we do through Netball Her and the Well HQ with the NPA as well is around female netballer, female specific well-being and healthcare, and just there's a lot. This isn't just about what we pay people, it's about how we look after them, how we look after women and girls, how we allow choice, how we understand where we are in our journey and aren't unrealistic in our expectations of our athletes. And a big thing for me is always around as well athletes as mothers and what that journey looks like, and not having to make sacrifices but to make choices that are right for you and how you can be supported through that journey. So we're absolutely aligned with the NPA on that. This is a bigger picture than just a contract and a pay. This is about an experience and a roadmap to full professionalisation. And as I said, I want to hear from our players on what's important to them, but also their ideas. Like, they're the ones that train and play. They're on the court, they're doing the work. Like, there's so many interesting people out there and stories, and we need to make sure that what we build can absolutely bring these players in and that they can flourish and thrive in that environment and go on their own journeys with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of this talk around working with the players and the Netball Players Association is going to be very welcomed by fans, not just of the Netball Super League, but globally, particularly given what's happening in Australia with the Netball Players Association and Netball Australia. We've currently got all 80 athletes currently out of contract, not getting paid, as the two parties can't come to an agreement over the collective playing agreement. Obviously, we don't know the full details of what's happening over there, but a key sticking point we know is around a disagreement between a revenue sharing model versus a profit sharing model, the latter of which was proposed by Netball Australia. So without knowing all the ins and outs of what's happening over there, what do you think that us as the Super League and England Netball can learn from what's happening?
There's loads of learnings, and this is why doing the work now in a consultative way, listening and learning, so that when we press go in 25, that clubs, players, partners, everybody has been part of shaping what this looks like. I don't want to press go and then I'm getting into disagreements around contracts or things like that. Like, when we press go, we're going and we're building and we're going on that journey. So this, and this is, these are some of the learnings that I have taken away, because a lot of the product looks wonderful over in Australia, but what are the foundations upon which it's built? And for us, that's getting that right, that sustainable growth, making sure that we can grow the commercials and financials in line with kind of rising costs, that we can be fair and transparent with players, work with the NPA as we go on that journey. These things are really, really important. There's nothing worse than getting into a battle around money or your worth or your value. And we can't allow that to happen. So we're going to really work with everyone over these next 18 months to make sure that we get things right from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, we're building something wonderful here. So if there's athletes over in Australia that want to come and join 2.0, please do. Give us a call.
Absolutely love that.
I love it. Emmy called me Mother Claire on Twitter today. Mother Claire welcomes her children home to England. I'll look after everybody. I mean,
we would love to see that. Aussie Diamonds, come on over. Silverfoot, well, probably
Roses.
Won't be allowed to. Roses, come on back.
Come home. Yeah, let's bring the Roses home. But no, look, it's sad that they're going through that. It's difficult for all parties. Nobody wins out of this. I feel for everybody in it, but we have our eyes on everything happening across sports so that we can make sure we take those learnings and build better for our sport and our league.
Yeah, 100%. And there's been so much talk around what's going on over there. And actually, a lot of it does come down to the financials and who's proposing what and differences in opinion. But there's a really great article on what's happening over there by Megan Maurice, who outlines the part of the reason why netball has historically struggled financially, which is sort of the big sticking point with the whole thing. Is partly being down to the fact that traditionally sport as a whole has existed as a masculine domain. And I quote, while other women's sport sits alongside men's, allowing access to networks and funding built from years of relationships with the business and media communities, netball has had to find its own way. But that being said, we know that we have a rapidly growing men's and mixed scene in the UK, particularly. We've recently had the England Nationals, a third year in a row, and it was bigger and better than ever. And it was absolutely incredible. So how, if at all, does men's and mixed game fit into the kind of sportainment strategy for 2025 onwards?
Yeah, of course it fits. And, I got asked about this on LinkedIn yesterday because I'm using the language fiercely female at the moment. Like, we're unapologetically female. We've got to unlock a female audience. And I am absolutely committed to that mission of building our sport for women and girls. But that is not at the expense of being inclusive. And, men and boys, all people, I want to create something that they feel welcomed into. And I think we have a real opportunity to shift that thinking around what netball is and girly and it's slow and it's not cool. Like, we can shift that ourselves with our own product and really just creating that sportainment and that great piece on court, but also by bringing men and boys into that. And just, I think a lot of it, I think we talked about it on our last podcast as well, is just making it okay for men and boys to come and enjoy and watch and experience our sport. What the guys in our game are doing right now is really brave, because the stereotypes around netball and boys playing netball is huge. And they're coming out and showing what we all know is that actually it's physical and tactical and brilliant, and men are great at it. But they're really coming out and championing something that, a lot of men wouldn't support. And so for me, we will find space for that, and we will bring it together, and we will make sure that from fans to what we see on court to how you experience to what the opportunities there are to participate or volunteer in our sport grow because of that. So when I launched Sirens back in 2017, I deliberately, working with Steph from Flyhawk, who was formerly Viper 10, we created the brand that I wanted to not be really feminine and netball-y. And I was like, my dream is that you're going to see guys wearing the hoodies and the merch at club games. And we did that, and we got to that point. Like, I would absolutely love in the future that, because this will become about getting behind your club. So in the same way that you get behind Liverpool or Man City or whoever your club is, you'll do that in netball, and everyone will rock up in their jerseys, in their shirts, and they'll be proud to do it. And the stigma will not be women's sport. And we will still be unapologetically female, we'll grow that, but our sport will be powerful and credible enough that everyone will want to participate and enjoy and be a fan of it.
Yeah, and I mean we've loved being part of the kind of EMNA journey, you know, going to their first nationals in 2021 and seeing how that's grown, and just seeing, I think it's already happening as well, like across the board, that some of those stereotypes are being challenged. And even things like the London Pulse had their corporate cup with a load of mixed teams from different companies in London the other day, and they were having a whale of the time. And you know, everyone's kind of realizing now how much of a benefit netball can have in your life, whether that's participation or whether that's going to watch it, and that's irrespective of gender. And it's really pleasing to hear that that's part of the strategy for the Super League moving forward, that we're not going to kind of close ourselves off at all, that we're going to keep that really wide and
if we ever would. No, I'm all about people, but I'm always here for women and girls. That's my driver, and I want to use our sport and the professional and commercialization of our sport to create a better system for women and girls. But I want to create a beautiful place that everyone is welcome. And we talk about being dedicated to difference in our adventure strategy. You know, we've got lots of meetings going on at the moment, how even through season 24 we can make sure that we are representing everyone across our community. And as women, we're going to show young people and particularly young girls that you can be your voice, have your voice, wear what you want, come along and make noise. That's what netball represents. And that's what being fiercely and unapologetically female represents, because we're going to change the world for everybody, not just for ourselves.
Yeah, Claire, I absolutely love all of that. It's amazing to listen to you. It's really just so inspirational. And before we kind of wrap up, we just wanted to ask about something else, which I don't think we've really covered very much in this conversation and wasn't featured in the press release, which is around professionalizing the umpires and also support for coaches. So can you just talk to us a little bit about how that feeds into the strategy and how we'll see umpiring and coaches develop in the new Netball Super League 2.0?
Well, as I said, everything will be strengthened and enhanced through this. This isn't just about arenas. This is, again, making sure that what we've got at the top of the pyramid can feed down and strengthen the pathways and the infrastructure for everybody. And that is officials, coaches, volunteers, you know, bench officials. Everyone is part of that with it. So, you know, we are at the start of our journey. The modelling around kind of pathways, competition, officiating, coaching. We're at the start of that journey, and we will build that. But, you know, our ambition is to build a really strong workforce of the best, most talented people across our sport on and off the court. So we know that Gary is going to be all over this. I want to make sure that we're creating careers in our sport, and that's not just with players. You know, we talk about in the future, there'll be coaches, officials, the business side of it. I want more business women running clubs and franchises and driving this forward. So every part will be considered, every part will be strengthened and enhanced, and it all needs to move together because we need the best umpires if we're going to have the best competition. So, yeah, we're thinking of everyone, but my caveat at this moment is we don't have all the answers now. We haven't done everything now, but it's absolutely part of our strategy. And now that we've been able to go public with our announcement, it's really mobilized a lot of our expert teams across the business and the wider sport who will now start thinking about, well, they're already thinking about it. This is about me. Everyone always comes to me and they're like, Claire, I want to talk umpires. I want to talk coaches. We need to do this. They've all got it. They're just waiting for me to kind of work through bits in order. But yeah, there's a massive opportunity for everybody connected to our sport to benefit from this. And that's what makes us all so proud. This is Super League, but this is netball in the UK.
Yeah, I think the word opportunity is kind of the word of the moment, I think, with all of this. Like, no matter which element of the game you look at, there is so much opportunity to really just take this to the next level and be a world leader, which is really, really exciting.
And I think what we're doing is not promising everything all overnight. You know, it is a journey, but it's a journey that we can see is going to deliver continuous improvement and results year on year. And we need all the parts to move forward together. So that's really the approach we're taking.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm very conscious we've kept you for a very long time. So final question for you. How would you summarize the key measures of success over the next year, 5 years, and then 10 years?
Oh my gosh.
Just a small one.
No, do you know something? I've been asked this. I've had a few interviews this week and I keep being asked this. So the short-term one is to launch in 25, to just have partners, broadcasters, clubs, players. Just, we've got the model and we know the model is going to work, and that we've then got a fan base who are excited and ready to move forward. Like, we've got to build this. So that's the job. I've got 18 months to build this. And I'm just really, my call to arms with that is to just kind of trust us and come with us on the journey, and let's do that together. By 5 years, I would like the value of the sport and the league to have increased significantly. So by getting, this is probably a more detailed podcast, but getting this product right, yes, we're looking for partners and investors now to support clubs and the league. But actually, when we get that product right, we've then got data and we've got something tangible that we can go back out to market. And we can go back out to market for much higher values around what our sponsorships look like. And we will have more power to determine, who we work with and how we work with them. So really, by that 5 years, I would have expected significant investment to have come into the sport. And then that fuels a real massive growth. So we're looking at kind of launch, development, that evolve. And then it's really, let's activate and go. But my success will be in 10 years' time when I'm turning 40, to look back, don't laugh too much, but to look back and go, like, it is working. It is going from strength to strength. Like, it's just going forwards. Like, then I will know that all the stuff we've done now has worked. And that's why we've really got to spend the time with the business and the modeling side of it, because I know we can realize our ambitions in the future if we get this bit right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. What's the saying? Build it and they will come. So
exactly. Build it and they will come. And just, come on the journey with me, and I will try and chat to everyone and tell you what's going on as much as possible. And I am going to do some fan forums in the future as well, because I want to listen. So we'll do those early next year. I'll probably do them around some of the Super League games. I'm going to ask questions on social media and Twitter. I've got a question tonight. I want to know what NSL merch people want to see, because we're kind of building. So I'm going to listen. We're going to make some decisions that we think is right, but it's just, let's trust one another, because the time is now. And if we're all in the boat together, then we can absolutely navigate the choppy waters ahead and get to that sunny island of utopia in 2025 and beyond.
Well, we're certainly on board. We've got the life jackets on, got my armbands on. We are there. We are ready.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Claire. It's always so inspiring to chat to you. Really appreciate you coming on. Very busy lady. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this special bonus episode of Qtr Time Podcast.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media at Qtr Time Pod for the latest netball updates. There is so much international netball coming up over the next few weeks, including Constellation Cup. There's a South Africa-Australia series. We got Fast 5. We then got South Africa-England series. So much to digest. So stay tuned on our socials and do get in touch to let us know all your thoughts on the upcoming series.
Finally, we would really, really appreciate if you could take a moment to rate and review, as it helps other people to find the podcast. If you enjoy listening to the pod, please do let us know, and do spread the word with your netball pals so even more people can get involved. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.